All right, let's dive into something that is absolutely critical, but honestly so often overlooked in business: customer onboarding. This is that make or break window of time that decides if a brand new user becomes a fan for life or, well, just another number that disappears. So let's get right into it. So picture this. Your customer just took the leap. They hit buy, they put in their credit card info, they're excited for sure, but there's also this little seed of doubt, of uncertainty. And right away, they start asking themselves this one really big question. And there it is, the single most important question swirling around in your new customer's head. Did I make the right choice? And you know what? Your entire onboarding process, from start to finish, exists for one reason: to answer that question with a huge, confident yes. We call this the deciding moment. It's that point where all the amazing promises you made in your marketing crash right into the real-world experience of your product. And your job, your only job right now, is to close that gap between promise and reality, and to do it fast. So let's be really clear about what customer onboarding is. It is not just a checklist of technical setup tasks. Think of it more like this. It's the bridge that takes a customer from the moment they decided to buy to the moment they actually feel the value they were hoping for. This isn't just a process, it's the foundation for the whole relationship. And here's where it gets really interesting. Onboarding isn't just some chore you have to do. It is one of the most powerful ways to grow your business. See, when you get it right, you build trust right out of the gate. That trust stops customers from leaving in those first few crucial weeks. That's what we call preventing early churn. When they stick around, you can get them to actually use the cool features of your product. And when they start using those features, they build real long-term loyalty. And that loyalty, well, that's what fuels sustainable revenue growth. It's this awesome chain reaction. Okay, so we're all on the same page about why this is so incredibly important. Now let's get into the fun stuff, the how. How do we actually design that perfect welcome that takes someone from their very first time logging in to their very first taste of success? At the heart of it all is this delicate balancing act. On one side, you've got automation. You absolutely need it to make sure every customer gets a consistent experience and to let you scale up. But on the other side, you need personalization. That's the human touch. That's what builds real trust and makes a customer feel like you actually care about them, not like they're just another ticket in the system. A really great onboarding journey isn't random. It follows a pretty clear path. Think of it in 4 stages. First, you start with a warm welcome, just to set the right tone. Then, you move into just enough training and education to get them going. Don't overwhelm them. Then comes the most important part, helping them achieve that first success, that first little win. From there, it's all about keeping them engaged so that that first success turns into a regular habit. And that's the real goal here, isn't it? We're not just trying to get them set up correctly. The true endgame is to move way beyond that first login and make your product an indispensable, natural habit in your customer's daily life. Which brings us to this really important word: adoption. Onboarding gets them in the door. But adoption is when they make that mental shift from just trying your product out to actually relying on it. It's when your tool becomes so embedded in how they work that they can't imagine their day without it. So how do you get them to that point? How do you make them rely on you? The secret is finding and celebrating their aha moment. That's that magical instant when the light bulb goes on and they truly get it. They feel the value. Your entire onboarding flow should be laser focused on getting them to that moment as quickly and as painlessly as possible. And you can build momentum toward that moment by celebrating the small wins along the way. Seriously, a simple pop-up that says, "Congrats on completing your first task," or "Awesome, you just uploaded your first file." That creates this powerful, positive feedback loop. It makes them feel smart, like they're making progress, and it builds a genuine connection. Okay, theory is great, but I think it's way more fun to see how this stuff actually works in the wild. So let's take a look at a few lessons from some of the absolute best companies out there. First up, Slack. Their growth was just explosive, almost legendary. And a massive piece of that success puzzle was their absolute masterclass in onboarding. So what was their secret? It was all about the power of the quick win. Slack doesn't bore you with a long tour or a manual. The second you're in, it's pushing you to do one thing: send your first message. And boom, right there, in seconds, you've experienced its core value. That's the aha moment, delivered instantly. Next, let's talk about Dropbox. Here's another company that just completely nailed user adoption from day one, and they did it in such a clever way. Their strategy was nothing short of genius. They used gamification. They took the boring process of setting up an account and turned it into a little game. They give you a checklist, upload a file, install on your computer, invite a friend, and for every little task you completed, you earned more free storage space. It made onboarding feel fun and rewarding, and it was a huge reason they went viral. And for our last example, let's look at Canva. You know, they've become the poster child for beautiful, simple, user-friendly design. And no surprise, their onboarding is a perfect reflection of that. Canva's whole strategy is built around empowerment through simplicity. They strip away every possible barrier. Instead of a long tutorial, they just drop you right into the editor with a bunch of beautiful templates. This means you can create something that looks great, something valuable, in your very first session. It delivers that feeling of success almost immediately. So when you start to put all these pieces together, you see that great onboarding isn't just a one-and-done task. It's actually a growth flywheel, a self-reinforcing engine that can power your entire business forward. Because here's the ultimate payoff, the big prize at the end. A fantastic onboarding experience doesn't just create happy customers. It turns those happy customers into your most passionate fans, your biggest advocates. And who do you think they're going to tell about your product? That's right, the next wave of new users. But of course, you can't improve what you don't measure. So there are really 3 key numbers you need to keep an eye on. Your churn rate tells you if people are leaving early. Your adoption rate tells you if they're actually using the features that make your product valuable. And finally, your Net Promoter Score, or NPS, tells you how loyal they are and if they'd recommend you. Together, these metrics give you a super clear picture of how well your onboarding is working. And I think this quote just says it all perfectly. Real sustainable success in business doesn't come from just getting a bunch of new customers in the door. It comes from keeping the ones you have. And that entire journey, that whole relationship, starts with a world-class onboarding experience. So the final thought I want to leave you with is a question to ask about your own business. How can you remove every single piece of friction? How can you make success feel not just possible for your customer, but completely, effortlessly easy? The answer to that question, well, that's the key to everything.